Hashem Na'aseh v'Natzliach, Shir Torah, Bruchim Habayim. We're back here, Siyat Dishmaya, doing our weekly shiur of the IGGERET HAGRA, the letter from the Gaon of Vilna to his family, needless to say, to ourselves, in our generation, in our time, in our day, in our personal lives. And little by little, each and every single week, we learn another few lines from the IGGERET HAGRA, from the letter that the Gaon of Vilna wrote, and little by little we're understanding more and more why he was called the Gaon of Vilna, the genius from Vilna. Today perhaps every average person is called a Gaon just because they perhaps know how to say a few nice things or write a few nice things, but the Gaon of Vilna was not called a Gaon for such things, but rather because the Torah itself was at the palm of his hands, Baruch Hashem. So, and you see it through the letters, through the writings, through the genius in his work. And this IGGERET HAGRA is just scratching the surface, if you will. Today, Be'ezrat Hashem, the shiur will be for Refuah Shlema for Rabbanit Levana Bat Sarah, Sarah Bat Levana, Rav Ephraim Ben Shulamit, Rabbanit Sarah Bat Anat, Avi Mori David Ben Esriya, Doris Bat Jora, Orit Bat Ilana, Sarah Bat Sausan, and also for Hatzlacha Rabba for Amir Ben Shahin, Shaul Ben Farzane, Oshri Ben Doris, Gabi Ben Doris, Elad Ben Doris, Netanel Yosef Ben Avraham, Elchanan Ben Avraham, Shaul Ben Avraham, Nathan Ben Avraham, Marsha Bat Julie, Ayla Bat Marsha, Samuel Ben Marsha, Cephas Ben Marsha, Alexander Ben Marsha, Louis Ben Marsha, Yitro Ben Avraham, and all of Am Yisrael Be'ezrat Hashem, and all of the righteous Noahides, to continue to help us with all the things that we're doing. So just a brief update of some things. The Kollel, Baruch Hashem, a couple of you have contacted me in regards to the Kollel, the logistics of it, where and how. So we have one Kollel that's actually near Rabbi Ephraim's house in Givat Shaul. Over there we have 7 Avrechim. And then we have Kollel in Har Nof that we're actually partnering with somebody else. And over there is, I think it's close to 20 Avrechim. I keep making a mistake with the numbers. But it's Baruch Hashem, a relatively decent size Kollel. I think in total there's over 30 Avrechim, 31 Avrechim, something like that, between everything that's there. But either way, these are the couple of kollels that we're investing in each month, where we have our Talmidim, our Rosh Kollel on the one that's in Givat Shaul. That's Arav Sharvit, that some of you have perhaps seen some of his shiurim that's on our channel. Each week him and some of the other Avrechim are making shiurim. And Rav Sharvit actually just took his the last test for the Dayanut, so Be'ezrat Hashem will get the good news for that very soon and have officially our first Dayan. But the Kollel, Baruch Hashem, is going, it's growing, and because of everything that's happening with the government, of how they're attacking the Jewish world, it's not only causing a lot of hardship to the Torah community, but it's actually even more of a time to invest into Torah, into publicizing Torah, into Kiruv, to show HaKadosh Baruch Hu that unlike what the Mityavnim, the ones that wanted to become like the Greeks a couple of thousand years ago at the time of Chanukah, that abandoned the Torah when push came to shove, when there was difficulty, we're doing the exact opposite and trying to invest more and more in Torah. So that's one thing. Anyone that wants to contribute to the Kollel could donate on our website, in the website store. has a contribution. If you want to give just any amount, you can just contribute any amount. But if you want to sponsor an avrech and have what's called Isachar and Zvulun for 1 week, for 2 weeks, for a month, for 6 months, whatever you want, you could contribute over there on the website. It's the be'ezrathashem.org, beezrathashem.org. So that's one thing. Second thing is in regards to some of the chesed projects that we're working on. Again, I don't have campaigns for these things. I simply don't have the time to do it. I was asked by a few people if I can make a special campaign for things, even including some people on our team. I literally have no time to breathe. I don't think people really understand what's going on here. And I can tell you a couple of the projects that we're working on so you understand what we're dealing with. Between trying to save a few people from danger, physical danger, to different legal danger that some people have. One child, 4-year-old child, that's very, very sick, that we had to review the file, and then, Baruch Hashem, we were successful in sending him some money to the family, just to this 4-year-old kid. If you look at the pictures, I mean, it looks like, Shem Yishmo, it looks like there was some type of tragedy took place. His whole body is full of scabs and just an enormous amount of pain this poor kid is going through. And he's pretty much allergic to practically every food out there. So this, young Jewish boy, his father is an avrech that connected with us, and we're trying to help the family. We also have an entire community that we're doing a campaign to bring them some food for Hanukkah. Anyone that wants to contribute for that can contribute for that. Again, between the difficult cases that are coming to my door, to just the ongoing needs of students, growing body of students, Baruch Hashem, there's really just not much time for me to do anything else. So anyone that wants to contribute can simply contribute. You don't want to contribute, you don't have to. Kadosh Baruch Hu will send somebody else. But for those of you that actually want to know and are interested and want to help, there has never been a bigger need for money than today. But again, Baruch Hashem, Kadosh Baruch Hu provides. One thing that we are working on is to make a campaign that's going to be B'ezrat Hashem, hopefully B'ezrat Hashem, the biggest campaign of the year to finish off this cyclical year. We'll be publishing our results for this, from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah really is the results. It's really from September to September. Short little video letting you guys know what your money has achieved, what your investments have achieved. I remember when I was on Wall Street, each year we'd want to know what our investments did. Each year our investors wanted to know what their investments did. And this is in essence the same thing. Only difference is that these investments with Kiruv that you've made or will make in the future only go up. And that's the beauty of it. And I could tell you one thing, that it's really nothing greater than that, is that when a person invests into something, when it's brand new, it's the most speculative, it's the most dangerous, it's the most risky, and so on. But I spoke to my father just recently, and I told him, he was reviewing different things that he's done in his life, and I told him that, ignore everything in the world that you've done, what you've achieved, what you failed at, what you did everything else, because the reality is, after everything failed in our life, and we had, Baruch Hashem, our own different difficulties, my father, God bless him, and my mother, they were there for us to help us try to simply make ends meet, which allowed us to also, focus on learning Torah and start teaching Torah, and eventually start the organization Be'ezrat Hashem. So the original investors of Be'ezrat Hashem were my parents. I said, when you go up to Shamayim, you're the seed investor. You're the first investor in the organization Be'ezrat Hashem. You have your ticket. So of course, anyone that understands that, it's enough said. anyone that perhaps needs a more clear or perhaps a better comparison to business, it's like the first 10 investors in Google or or in Microsoft or in Tesla, any one of these major corporations today. Just imagine how wealthy they are today, but also how great the risk was when they first started. Now, of course, our organization today, Baruch Hashem, is not like it was when it first started years ago, but from our perspective, it's still in its infancy stage. It's still in the early stages. There's still a whole lot more, multiples of a whole lot more to do, and B'ezras Hashem, we're looking forward to doing it. So we are looking for people to pick up the notch and make their investments, whether it's people that could afford to give more, B'ezras Hashem, so we could buy a building and start the yeshiva, the Kollel, the school that we want to do over here in Florida, and other places as well. Or it's the people that do contribute but don't do it, regularly. So perhaps to commit to a monthly commitment. But before you make any of these commitments, B'ezras Hashem, that video will come out. It'll show you some basic numbers, some basic results. You could, I invite you to compare it to any organization in the world that publishes their results, and you'd be surprised, dollar for dollar, that our Baruch Hashem, our organization, B'ezras Hashem, has outpaced anyone else that I know of, at least ones that publish their numbers. I know there's a lot of other big organizations in the world that much bigger than what we are as far as money is concerned, but they don't necessarily publish their numbers. As far as what their results are, perhaps maybe they publish how many buildings they bought or how many different parties they had. But as far as how many Baalei Tshuva are coming, you generally don't know. With our results, it's all public because you see the people themselves making comments on the videos, whether it's on the Facebook Live videos or on YouTube or on the internet elsewhere. You see people constantly writing us letters, making public statements of how they've left their foolishness and now are cleaving to Hashem. Some have left idolatry, some have left intermarriage, some have left all types of abominations out there. And you see people are publicly proudly writing how this organization, how the shiurim that we've done in English and Hebrew, the books by Rabbi Ephraim, all the different things that Baruch Hashem we've done, how they've helped so many people. You see the numbers, you see the growth, how many views, how much time has been watched, and Baruch Hashem, the production speaks for itself. Of course, you're always going to have naysayers and people that are spiritually empty, that always have something nasty to say, but we don't really focus so much on such people because we're too busy trying to succeed, B'ezras Hashem. So with that being said, anyone that wants to make their largest contribution, usually are made at the end of the year because of tax reasons, this would be the time. B'ezras Hashem, we're working on, B'ezras Hashem, when I get the time, to make this campaign, and we're hoping that each and every one of you would consider it. Now, with that being said, we're going to start our shiurim. There's a lot of grounds to cover. We're going to try to cover, B'ezras Hashem, both the physical and the spiritual, meaning that we're going to try to deal with things of this world. We're going to try to deal with things of the mystical world, the world that's beyond our vision. And that's in essence one of the things that a lot of people that call themselves rationalists, but more likely the better term for them is heretics. That's one of the things that they hate the most. They hate discussing things that are supernatural. They hate discussing or things that are mystical. I mean, of course, you have heretics like Slifkin. Shem Reshaim Yerkav, all of his books are banned by Gedolei Ador simply because even the basic belief in the words of the sages about the Noach, about just the flood, of how he fit all the animals in the teva and the ark in a supernatural way, because surely he couldn't fit all the animals that we have in the world today, the species that we have today in that teva, even though it was very, very big. Still, even that, Slifkin says, since it does not agree with science, surely it did not happen. The flood did not happen. It was perhaps just a little bit of a tornado storm or something local. So when you see people like this that call themselves rabbi, that write books, that have videos, that are invited and consider themselves scholar in residence, you see those types of people getting the stage in many places, unfortunately, or other people that we've spoken about many times. You realize that there's a lot of confusion out there, but really the fish stinks from the top. You know, when you have the confusion in the crowd, you realize that that confusion is stemming from somewhere. And we've said time and time again, in the name of Gdolei Ador, such as Rav Elchanan Wasserman, that was practically crying blood at the in his Kuntres Ikvita de Meshicha about the bad shepherds, the false leaders that he had in his day. Needless to say, the ones that we have in our day. So it's important to know that if there is a confusion in your heart, if there's a confusion in your mind, and you really are looking for the truth is, you know, it's next to you, it's near you. It's in your mouth, it's in your heart to do it. Meaning that if you study enough Torah, you will answer all of those questions. If you don't know where to find the answer, you could easily reach a Talmid Chacham and get the answer for it. But of course, not all Talmidei Chachamim, not all scholars are versed in everything. So you have to go to the right scholar for the right thing. Sometimes people ask a rabbi a question and they don't get an answer from them, and they figure out the rabbis don't know. No, perhaps that rabbi doesn't know, just like that doctor that knows how to make spinal surgery doesn't know how to do dentistry. Not every doctor is the same, not every professional is the same. And for some reason or another, people believe that if the answer is not easy to get, then it doesn't exist. And it's only a stone throw away from falling into the trap of going into the people that are the spiritually dead, which we'll discuss today. But with that being said, we're going to go into the IGGERET to discuss something that is not spiritually dead, but actual dead. Because that's what the Gaon of Vilna is warning us about right now. After warning us time and time again in regards to making sure that we learn Torah, learn Musar, stay away from certain places, including a synagogue where everybody's talking, all types of immorality, stay away from idle talk, of, in so many words, wasting your time. Make sure that you protect your mouth, you don't say Lashon Hara, you don't say bad things, or even simply waste your speech. So there's many warnings in this letter, and of course warnings that relate both to self as well as to children that are in your house, or other people that are in your house. But now the next warning is taking us to a different place. It's taking us to a different place, a place that perhaps not everybody likes to talk about, because of course everyone would love to believe that they're going to live forever. But anyone that saw the film that we've made and published a few months ago called Chibut HaKever, spelled with a CHIBUT, and then another word HAKEVER. Or you go to chibuthakever.org, you can watch the movie. It's as scary as can be, both because all of the things that I said in that movie have sources that are being noted in the movie itself, sources in the Torah, but also because we actually have some videos of people that dared listen to what happens in a grave, and unfortunately, this is not an imagination. It's anyone that wants to do it can do it. I highly recommend not to do it, but anyone that wants to traumatize themselves and does not believe that those things that we said in the movie actually happen, and don't believe that the video that we included from real footage, 2 different videos that we included from footage of people that recorded the sounds that are coming out of the grave, doesn't believe that it's true, can go see it for themselves, can go check it for themselves if they want. and record. But again, you should know, number one, you shouldn't go by yourself. You should go with somebody. And number two, it's going to be very damaging. So it suits yourself. It's your own danger. Your life is in your hands. Your blood is in your hands. But nonetheless, there was a guy by the name of Oshri that listened to a lecture by Rav Menachem Edri, Sheikhye, Talmid Chacham in Eretz Yisrael, Mezakeh Rabim, who speaks about these topics very much the same as how we've done over the years, and he's a very strong speaker. I love the way he speaks. Rav Edri said these things in a lecture, and one of the guys that was going to shiurim for a short period of time, and still not 100% convinced, he said, Rabbi, listen, if you can show me, if you can prove to me that everything you just said, that what happens in the grave happens, I'll grow a beard longer than yours. So this was in front of a crowd. There was a lot of people. And Rav Edri says, listen, if you want, you can do it. It says in the Gemara how to do it. It says the sages teach how to do it. It's not a big secret. But I'm telling you, it's dangerous. Don't go by yourself. Go with somebody else because of some of the things we're going to discuss tonight. And long story short, he went and he called Rav Menachem Edri, crying hysterical, begging for help because of what he heard and what he witnessed being much, much worse than what we can imagine. So the things that happen in the life after life, which in essence really is the beginning of eternal life, are very much real. Those that choose to ignore it, those that choose to stay oblivious of it, those that choose to make fun of it, their blood's in their hands. But unfortunately, Rabotai Karim, we're not so more worried about those people that are heretics as much as we're worried about the damage that they cause. Hence the reason of why we mention the warnings time and time again, and why the sages, regardless of which Gadol you're talking about, over the last 3,000 years, every bit of writing that we have, whether it's the 5 books of Moses, or it's the writings, or it's the prophets, or it's the Gemara, or the Mishnah, the Zohar, the Shulchan Aruch, the Poskim, the Haggadot, the Midrashim, everything that's out there, all of the Musar Sfarim, all of the Sifrei Chasidut, every single Gadol that had his work published and recognized as a legitimate body of Torah, you see at some point in that Sefer warnings of punishment. So it's really bizarre that in the world today, especially the English-speaking world, there's virtually non-existent speeches about reward and punishment, with the exception of a couple of speakers, myself included, that talk about it on a regular basis. So much so that people that listen to the lectures for the first time and hear reward and punishment think that you're extreme, think that you're fanatic, think that you have a different version of Judaism. Perhaps this is Christianity because the Christians learn about Gehenna, or they call it hell on a regular basis. So therefore, maybe perhaps you've been brainwashed by Christianity, meaning that the absence of reward and punishment, which is one of the 13 principles of faith, is so common today that it's literally almost unheard of, unless you actually learn real Torah. If you open the books, any book that's been written over the last several thousand years by some of the Gdolei Ador, some of the people that have been recognized as people that are serious Torah scholars, you will see at some point or another some type of warning, some more, some less, some more details of Gehenom, Kafakela, Chibut HaKever, and all types of other horrific things. Some would just simply, this is warnings that are, telling you that if you don't do this or if you ignore this, the punishment will be severe. But nonetheless, it's standard language to talk about reward and punishment, especially the punishment part. Unless you arrived at this generation. This generation of reform mentality is so gun shy when it comes to teaching people the truth that people have started, or actually not started, people have adapted to the lie as being the truth and the truth being a lie, which is perhaps one of the saddest consequences of what's happening. But the Gaon of Vilna, his letter has been published an endless amount of times, has been studied and written about by an endless amount of Talmidei Chachamim. This is available to anybody who wants to simply just go on the internet, type in IGGERET HAGRA, and you can get it for free, just the letter itself. If you want commentary, of course, you'll have to buy some books, but there I'm sure you can find some commentary on it. But even without the commentary, you see some of the things that the Gaon of Vilna is writing. He's talking about kafakela. He's talking about severe punishment. This is not like a commentary on the letter. This is literally what he taught. So when you see that the Gedolei Hador, the biggest rabbis, the smartest ones, the most clever ones, the most committed ones, the most righteous ones, discussed punishment as a standard. When you see this as a standard in the body of the Torah, and yet at the same time you see certain people that consider themselves teachers and rabbis and so on, make fun of punishment and actually minimize it to the point where it becomes either a joke or they simply minimize it to eliminate any concern. As if, don't worry, you'll find your dog. That's what Gaon has become. Don't worry, you'll find your dog. He's only been gone for an hour. That's what Gaon is to people. And that's unfortunately why some Chachamim say that because the generation before the Holocaust was in a very much a similar situation to our generation, and was taught not to believe in punishment, not to believe in Gehenom, Hashem brought Gehenom to this world. So this, Rabotai Karim, is one of the things that we repeat time and time again. Number one, because we never know who's watching. Perhaps it's the first time you've ever watched, maybe even the last, so at least you'll get some truth. And number two, simply because it's common language in the Torah. It's common language in the Torah. We're not some morbid, crazy people. We're simply reading, learning, and we find it everywhere. We find it everywhere, Rabotai Karim, and of course, there's other things to learn, but nonetheless, in this section of the letter, the Gaon of Vilna is talking about this very much, this particular subject, just a different aspect of it, where he says, and makes another warning to his wife, to his children, especially to the female of his household, and needless to say to us, ותשמרי שלא תלכי לבית הקברות כלל וכלל. ששם מתאבקין הקליפות מאוד, וכל שכן בנשים, וכל הצערות והעוונות באים מזה. This 1.5 sentences is what we're going to cover today, Be'ezrat Hashem. Translation is as follows. And you, my wife and daughters, should take care not to go to the cemetery. Don't go to the cemetery, don't go to the graveyard, whatever you want to call it. Do not go. At all. Klal uchlal. At all. Don't ever go. Yeah, what about if the yard side of my grandmother and yard side of my... don't go. Because there is impure forces. Klipot. A klipa is an impure force. There are impure forces that cleave to people, and all the more so to women specifically. And thereby all of the troubles and the sins come from this. Person reads this, says, Rabbi, you wrote this? I wish I wrote it. Maybe they'll call me a Gaon then. But I didn't write it. The Gaon of Vilna wrote this. The Gaon of Vilna wrote this, and in fact, Rabotai Karim, this is not a chidush, but rather this is standing on the big shoulders of the sages that preceded the Gaon that concluded the same thing. Where the sages have said time and time again that people should stay away from cemeteries. Now, of course, you're asking in your mind, wait a bit, what about the people that go to the grave of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, or Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, or Rav Ovadia? What about those? The grave sites of tzaddikim if there is a direct route to go just to there, it's set up the right way, you can go there, you have the protection of the holiness of the tzaddik, that's one thing. But to go to just any average person, even if that average person was a religious person, a good person, highly, highly recommended to not do it. Highly recommended not to do it. Now, what you'll see, Rabotai, is that this is not a matter of whether it's allowed or forbidden. There's no halachic prohibition to go to a grave, but rather it's the issue of a possible danger. Which danger? The one that the Gaon of Vilna is mentioning, that at every single gravesite there are impure forces that are very, very strong, that are looking for people to cleave to. They're looking to stick to someone and cause all types of damages. Of course, they're not all like some people think. What, we need the exorcist or something like that, somebody to take it out. No, it's not all like that. It's not a dibuk. Could be, but it's not necessarily a dibuk. But rather, it's a klipa that can cause a lot of damage to a person. Now, the Gaon of Vilna himself actually experienced this, and it's written in a sefer called Aliyot Eliyahu, on page 96, where the Gaon of Vilna and his dear brother, Arav Dorbel, both went to, on the yard site of their mother, went to the grave site of their mother. They went there, and as they were walking away, when they finished praying there and so on, the Gaon of Vilna told his brother with a big smile, isn't it amazing that I saw our Ima, I saw the neshama of our mother sitting on top of the gravesite, very happy to see us, very happy with how things have turned out. Of course, Rav Dorbel was a tzaddik, but not at the level of his brother, and was astounded by this. Wow, you saw Ima? You saw our mom, the neshama of our Ima? He goes, yeah, she was very happy. She was very, very happy. So of course, this is amazing. When the student of the Gaon of Vilna, Rabbi Chaim Volozhin, heard the story that the Gaon of Vilna saw the neshama of his mother, he said, what's the big deal? That's something small. The Gaon of Vilna says a lot of big things. A lot bigger things than just that. But anyway, a few days later, the Gaon of Vilna ran into his brother again, Rav Dorbel, with a lot of anguish and suffering in his face. And he says, I take back what I said. Don't go to a cemetery again. Why? Didn't you say that you saw our mother very happy on the gravesite? He says, yes, she was happy. But the amount of suffering that I've had since then is astounding. And from that day on, the Gaon of Vilna never went to another gravesite again. Not his parents, and not anybody else. Now, what suffering is this? Of course, he's saying in the letter, it has to do with the klipot. What are these klipot? We'll get to that in a moment. The Magen Avraham Paskins in Siman 559. Actually, it states in the name of the Arizal, which preceded the Gaon of Vilna by a few hundred years. Arizal was alive at the time of Rabbi Yosef Karo, the Shulchan Aruch. And the Magen Avraham states in the name of the Arizal, who also concurred by saying not to go to a cemetery unless you're going for the sake of burying somebody. Why are you allowed to go to the cemetery if you're burying somebody, but not if you're not burying somebody, you just want to go visit the gravesite, go pray there? Why? He said, if a person goes there and it's a not for that, then it's a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah to go bury someone, and that mitzvah is going to create an angel that will protect you from any of these klipot that are in the cemetery. As we have written in the Ecclesiastes, Shlomo Melech says in chapter 8, verse 5, Shomer mitzvah, lo yida davar ra. A person that observes a mitzvah, in the process of observing that mitzvah, he will not see anything bad happen to him. This is why it is a customized in Am Yisrael. All of Gdolei Yisrael have said this to their students at one time or another. If you are going and let's say you're going to take a trip to somewhere, perhaps that's dangerous, or even if you're going to go into some type of medical procedure, something that's dangerous, what you should do is give a tzedakah before you go. Of course, the more the better, simply because the bigger the mitzvah, the bigger result you have, the more merit you're creating for yourself. But even if it's only a single dollar, that's also fine. That's also a mitzvah. You put that dollar in your tzedakah box, but then you commit to doing it again when you come back from this mission, this journey, this trip that you're making. Why? Because what happens is that now that you've made a mitzvah, you've given some tzedakah, you've earned yourself a merit. On top of that, you're saying that you're committing to giving even more tzedakah, or the same amount of tzedakah, when you come back. So the sages teach us that now your trip has become like a journey of a mitzvah. And you have something to rely on where shomer mitzvah lo yida davar ra, that a person that's in the process of observing a mitzvah will not see anything bad come out of it. So the Arizal, who's quoted in the Magen Avraham, is saying that if a person is burying somebody, then they're a shliach mitzvah. They are in the process of doing a mitzvah. That mitzvah will protect them, and they don't have to worry about any of the klipot. But if they are not burying anybody, you have no business being in a cemetery. It's too dangerous to go. Too dangerous to go. Now, why? What's the catch here? What's the catch? Is that the danger only increases depending on who you are. Why does it increase? The Arizal says, and it's again quoted in the Magen Avraham, that the danger is much, much greater for a person who has not completed the tikkun of keri. A person that did not complete the tikkun of keri, which is the seed that comes out of their body while they're sleeping. So it's unintentional seed, unintentional wasting seed. But he hasn't done the tikkun for that. But still, that seed has come out. That person is in a much greater danger. Needless to say, someone that has wasted seed intentionally and has not done the tikkun for it, that's even obviously a greater danger. Why? Because the Arizal says that those people that have not done the tikkun of keri, the demons, those klipot, attached to them, just like it was taught by our sages, min dovek bemino. One type of species, one type of creation is attracted or cleaves to another that's just like it. So those klipot that are in the graveyard are what? They are spirits without a body, many times coming from wasting seed and so on. And when a person wastes seed, they're in essence creating one of those things. They're creating one of those creations, and that's in essence, again, another spirit that was supposed to be a human being, that's supposed to be a person, but does not have a body. And they are wicked neshamot. These are wicked spirits that are very jealous of the living. And therefore, a person that has not done a tikkun and has wasting seed still on their to-do list of their tshuva, they have not done the tikkun yet, goes into a graveyard, and those wasted seeds, those spirits that surround him at all times, or a girl that was promiscuous, all of those demons that surround her at all times, see some friends in the graveyard, and Hashem Yishmel v'yatzil, Hashem preserve and rescue us from such an event. From such an event. Now, the Chachamim don't all agree that that you should avoid it like the plague. There are some Chachamim that say you can go. You can go. For example, the Piskei Tshuva in Yoreh De'ah 195 and Siman 195, also the Chayei Adam in Klal 338, also the Chafetz Chaim in Mishnah Berurah. They write that women can go to the mikveh after the immersion in the mikveh. Meaning we can go to the cemetery after the immersion in the mikveh. They don't say that she should, but they can. They can. Rav Sternbach Shichye, he in his response in Tshuvot V'Anagot says that perhaps the Gaon of Vilna is referring to the graves of the exile, meaning outside of Eretz Yisrael. Outside, because surely the land of Israel has Kedusha in it, perhaps that's protecting people, while the lands outside of Israel naturally have Tumah, needless to say, if it's a graveyard. And surely, the Rav Sternbach says, surely he's not referring to the graves of the tzaddikim, of the righteous, because that's already known that those are places of holiness, where many have the custom to go and pray there at the graves of the tzaddikim, in the merit of the deceased, in the merit of this tzaddik, because this tzaddik learned a lot of Torah, did a lot of mitzvot, he has extra merits, so you don't go and pray to the tzaddik, you pray to Hashem, but you pray because of the merit of this tzaddik. May this merit of this tzaddik be enough to help me also. Why would that happen? Why would the tzaddik spend his merits on you? Because you came and honored him, you've learned his Torah, you've visited his grave, you've done something in return, or you promised to do something in his name. You're going to give some tzedakah in his name, you're going to learn some of his Torah, you're going to create more merits for him, and therefore it's worth it for him to pray for you in Shemaim. But you never pray to the tzaddik, not to the Lubavitcher Rebbe, not to Rav Ovadia, not even to Moshe Rabbeinu. You never pray to a person, you only pray to Hashem. But it is a well-known custom that people go to the graves of the tzaddikim. So that's not really an argument. What the argument is going to the graves of people that are not tzaddikim. And the general opinion is not to do it. Although there are, like I just said, there are some chachamim that say you can do it. No one is actually recommending it. No one is saying you should do it. Unless you're going to bury somebody, which, B'ezrat Hashem, you never have to do that. But question is, why? Is it halachically forbidden? We already said it's not halachically forbidden. It's not halachically forbidden. It's allowed. So why are there so many chachamim that say you should not do it? Simply because there is an actual danger of going there, a danger that could hurt a person, both physically, chas v'shalom, and spiritually, chas v'shalom. Now, the Tikkunei HaZohar in Tikkun 70, Daf 441, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says that he found some writings by the sages that preceded him, which, as a side note, this is a proof that the Zohar Kadosh is in itself not a new thing that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai created. There is no Torah that man created. Everything that we have written was based on something that preceded us. That's how you know it's authentic. That's how you know it has a foundation to stand on. So for example, in the Zohar, there's over 60 books, 60 works that are quoted by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai that preceded the Zohar. That whether it's the Sefer Yetzirah or the other works that are Kabbalistic works that preceded Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, but he quotes many of these different Sfarim, most of which don't exist in the world anymore today, but nonetheless we see here that this is one of those places that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is actually quoting one of these sources that he wrote the Zohar based off of. This is why all of these heretics and simply ignorant people that discount the Zohar, that's how you know they never actually read the Zohar, because you're never going to find them mentioning any of this, because they just simply decided to spend all of their time looking at the writings of people that hate the Zohar just as much as them without really having a substantial reason, and simply spend all of their time making it people not believe it, as if that's going to change the people that do believe it. But nonetheless, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai here, he's saying that he found a writing where there's a Bereta in it. And this Bereta deals with the topic of the Sitra Achra, the other side, and says that there are secret high mountains that are the male representation of the Klippa, and there are valleys, deep valleys, that are the female representation of the Klippa, and that there is where the impure powers come out from, and when they come out, they are like a tribe made from metal, and they come to hurt all of those that deserve punishment. And in the following daf, in daf 442, it continues and it says, and all of the shapes of these klipot are actually recorded in there. They're actually drawn by the sages there. Different shapes, different looks. And every single one of them has eyes all over themselves. Similar to how the image of the Yetzirah, the Satan, the Malach HaMavet himself, who is the king of all of these. So all of his soldiers, if you will, look like him. Well, they also have eyes all over that are like coals, fiery coals. That are in male and female klipa representations, which are so scary and powerful that they even shock the holy creatures, like the angels, because of their strength. So this, of course, is a place where you see that this issue of klipa is not a new thought by the Gaon of Vilna. It preceded him by a couple of thousand years, obviously discussed by the sages. But even more so, the Gemara itself, in Masechet Chagiga, in the beginning of the Masechet, page Gimel Bet, in 3b, says that a person who wants to acquire an impure spirit upon himself or herself, in so many words, bring spiritual death upon themselves, because there's simply nothing worse than this. But a person that wants to bring upon themselves this impurity can go to a cemetery and sleep there. Overnight, sleep at the cemetery, and they would acquire themselves the klipa, the ruach tum'ah, the impure spirit. And Rashi comments on there and says, they acquire themselves a demon, which will give them the strength to do witchcraft. Now, hopefully nobody that's watching this is stupid enough to do this, but if you are, don't contact me for help, because there's nothing that can help you. Now, there are people that have done this, and unfortunately there are people that still do this. People that are involved with devil worship, people that unfortunately are part of certain customs. There are certain people in South America of Latin descent that this is part of their custom, is actually to deal with the dead, where they want to go to cemeteries, they sleep there, they strangely have a lot of interest in dead bodies. And the reason why is because what they're trying to do is they're trying to acquire this impure spirit, because the impure spirit gives them powers, gives them the ability to do certain things. Now, of course, they're selling their soul for it. They're going to lose everything out of it, and there's almost no way to get out of it. But nonetheless, there are a lot of people that do it, and it's still very much valid and exists in the world. There are some people in countries like Haiti that deal with witchcraft on a day-to-day basis. There are certain people in the Muslims deal with this. There's even people to this day that unfortunately secular Jews go to them in places like Yaffo. Yaffo in Israel has a lot of Arabs over there. Israelis go to certain Arab women over there that have this impurity on them, and these women tell them the future. And they're 100% on the mark. They're 100% on the mark. Tell you this week you can have this, this, and this. They're not fortune tellers like you see in the newspapers just to fool people. They actually tell you what's going to happen, and it happens. And they get paid for it and so on. And of course, people fall for this trap and bring this impurity on themselves, because this is 100% forbidden. To deal with these impure forces intentionally, to deal with witchcraft, as it says in the Torah, some person that deals with witchcraft, it's 100% death penalty. There's no tshuva for such a person. But unfortunately, there are certain people, and I've had the privilege to meet a couple that deal with witchcraft. Deal with witchcraft, bodies, and so on. You can sometimes sense it. It's not a normal person. It's not a normal person. It's not a normal thing. They look normal. They talk normal, but you get to know them. You get to see these people have very, very different stories, very, very different thoughts, and unfortunately, very, very different lives. Now, these people, at some point or another, that have these so-called powers of impurity, typically have dealt with something to do with the dead. Many times they went to the cemeteries at night. They dealt with dead bodies and all types of gory, disgusting, and creepy things that you only see in scary movies. But nonetheless, it exists. There are dumb people in the world that do this to themselves, and it's actually even certain cultures that welcome this and celebrate this. Now, there is a entire, I guess you call it a group of people in India that their entire lives from morning to night is full of witchcraft, and they have certain things that they do, certain rituals, and one of the rituals that they do is when they go hunting for food. But they don't hunt living, they hunt the dead. They look for dead carcasses, especially if it's dead people in the bottom of the river. And they eat the people. Why don't they just go buy a burger from McDonald's? Why don't they just go eat some salads? Because those bodies, that impurity, gives them certain powers that make them think that they can control certain things. Now, when a woman goes to a cemetery, she's even in more danger than the men. She's even in more danger than the men. Now, the Ma'alchu, Rabbi Chaim Vital, in Sha'ar Ruach HaKodesh, Sefer Sha'ar Ruach HaKodesh, in Tikkun 12, he says, my teacher, the Arizal, told me always to stay at least 4 amot away from any grave, so that the spirits do not cleave to spirits do not cleave onto me, because they do cleave to a person due to keri, due to the seed leaving his body and him not doing a tikkun for it, and they can cause major damage to the living, as they cause major damage and suffering to the dead. And one time Rabbi Chaim Vital was walking at night, and suddenly he saw there was 2 dogs chasing him. As he was running away from these dogs, he's thinking to himself, where do these dogs come from? And he realized his teacher, the Arizal, taught him that dogs are connected to demons. So immediately he did what the Arizal taught him, which is he shook his clothes and was thinking of a specific holy name that the Arizal told him to think of, and suddenly the dogs disappeared. This, Rabotai Karim, are not fairy tales. These are Chachmei Israel, these are Gdolei Israel from the previous generations. And they not only wrote about these things, they experienced them. As I told you, that's written in the Gemara, in the Bet Midrash of Abaye. There was once a very, very powerful demon with 7 heads that one of the Chachamim came in and had to kill with specific names, holy names of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. These are mentioned in the Gemara, these are mentioned by the Chachamim, these are very much real things. Now for all of those that say, yeah, but the Rambam wrote in Moreh Nevuchim that he doesn't believe in demons. First of all, Rambam never wrote that he doesn't believe in demons. Just as simple as that, because there isn't a simple definition of demons. If you read Gemara, which is the basic foundation of our Torah, then you'd also know that there are multiple types of demons. There are demons that are pure spirits. There are demons that are half spirit, half man. There are demons that look exactly like man. They eat and sleep and procreate. There are also mazikin. And there are all types of other creatures out there. And what the Rambam was in essence saying is that he doesn't believe that there is that specific type of demon that he was talking about in Eretz Israel. Not generally speaking, there is no supernatural forces out there that cause all types of things and do all types of things, because to not believe such a thing would simply be disagreeing with the works of the sages and even words of the 5 books of Moses that talks about it as well. But of course, people that are not looking for the truth will not admit to this, or perhaps will not even listen to such a thing, because they've already concluded what the truth is and they're just looking for people to agree with them. But nonetheless, Rabotai, the Chachamim warned extensively for people to stay away from the cemetery. Stay away from the cemetery. So much so that even until this day, it's a customized in Yerushalayim, in Jerusalem, that before, when they're going to bury a body, before entering the cemetery, they tell the children of that father that they're not allowed to come. They're not allowed to go inside the cemetery. And they also make a public announcement, a loud announcement. אנחנו מכריזים שכל זרע לא ילווה אותו. We are announcing or requesting that no zera, no child, will accompany the dead. Now, zera means 2 things. It means children, the ones that were alive. They told them they're not allowed to accompany their father. Why? Because it's dangerous. Why is it dangerous for the children to accompany the father in the cemetery? Because of the other meaning of the word zera, which is seed that comes out of the body. And what happens is, Rabotai, as we've talked about in the movie Tikkun HaBrit and all the lectures about Tikkun HaBrit, it's good to discuss this again before the Shovavim starts in a few weeks, which is that when a person wastes seed and has not done the tikkun, has not completed their tikkun, their tshuva for this, there are different beings, if you will, call them demons, call them mazikin, call them whatever you want, call it Pikachu for all I care. There are different creatures that person has created that are constantly around this person. And it could literally be millions and trillions of them, depending on how promiscuous this person was with others or with himself. Same thing with a woman. The Ben Ish Chai says that a woman that is promiscuous with herself or with others is also creating these demons. And those demons are constantly trying to damage this person spiritually, physically, and otherwise. Cause them to desire sinful behavior. Cause them to desire things that are heretical. To think it. Cause them to not understand or accept the truth. Cause them to do all types of things that are even against their own self-interest physically. And so on and so forth. These types of things are their own self-creation. Why? Because these creations that the person created are very jealous of the living. Because they are, in essence, the same, but without a body. And therefore, the custom in Yerushalayim for all generations, including today, is to make the announcement that the zera is not going to accompany the dead. The zera being the living children, and the zera being the seed. The seed, which is in essence the children that he produced that do not have bodies. Because those children, if they accompany the body, they'll cause it an extraordinary amount of agony, so much so that they'll even have permission to kill his children if the children are next to the body at that time. So it's a very, very dangerous thing. Of course, there are many people that ignore everything I just said, go to the cemetery left and right, they cry there, they eat there, they barbecue there, they do whatever they want over there, and they think that nothing bad is happening to them. Of course, it's because they think that what I'm talking about is people getting, sliced up and shot up and killed. No, not necessarily. A person could be destroyed and without even realizing that he's being destroyed. Why? Because these mazikin don't necessarily always hurt a body physically. But surely they hurt the neshama, and a person that is not realizing that his neshama is getting hurt, sometimes until it's too late. But these impurities, these klipot, are very jealous of the living, and therefore it is a danger for children to accompany the body of their dead father to the cemetery, whether in Jerusalem or anywhere. Now, in the Zohar Kadosh, in the Hosafot HaZohar, in Daf 142a, it gives us a little bit of a background. And we're saying all of this before we give the answer of why it's even more dangerous for women. It gives a midrash of what happened at Mount Sinai and even beforehand. Everyone remembers that when Moshe Rabbeinu came to Paro, threw the staff on the floor, the staff turned into a snake, the necromancers, in so many words, witchcraft people of Paro, came and also did the same exact thing and ended up turning their staffs into alligators. But Moshe Rabbeinu's staff, that was one of the 10 creations that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created on Friday before Shabbat in creation, on the 6th day. And this is in Mishnah in Avot, so it talks about the staff of Moshe Rabbeinu that was also used by Adam Rishon, Noach, as well as Moshe Rabbeinu, and had a
engravement of the commandments, the 12 tribes. It was very, very, very big. The Yalkut Me'am Loez says that it was ruby color type of staff that was made out of stone, unique type of stone, was the equivalent of almost 700 pounds. If I remember correctly, it was 674 pounds equivalent, which also proves to the size of Moshe Rabbeinu himself, who was 20 amot, or 20 feet, 10 amot high, tall, which was also the size of the staff. Long story short, the staff that he threw turned into a snake and ate the alligators of the necromancers, right? Who were these necromancers? Well, we know a few things about these necromancers. These necromancers, the Zohar says that they had names. What are the names? Names are Yonos and Yamus. Yonos and Yamus, sons of Bilam. Bilam HaRasha. They were the necromancers of Paro. But after they saw, the Zohar says, after they saw that obviously Egypt is destroyed, they abandoned Egypt and requested that Moshe Rabbeinu allow them to join them. They became part of the Erev Rav. And they came with Moshe Rabbeinu, took upon themselves to do Brit Milah, took upon themselves to observe the mitzvot. But the second that Moshe Rabbeinu was out of sight, went up to Mount Sinai, these Reshaim came to Aaron HaKohen and said, Kum, Aseh lanu Elohim, get up, make for us a God. Yeah, but didn't you just see the God of Israel speak to everybody? Now you want a God? How does this make sense? The Osafot HaZohar is saying that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of course, who knows both the hidden and the obvious, knows what's in your mind, knows what's in the future, knows what's in the past, knows that these two Reshaim, Yonos and Yamrus, Imach Shimam v'Zichram, they were evil neshamot that were part of the Erev Rav. Part of the Erev Rav that were already created 974 generations before the creation of the world, as the Gemara in Masechet Hagga discusses. These evil neshamot were never going to become anything good, but because of free choice, HaKadosh Baruch Hu allowed Moshe Rabbeinu to include them and to bring them along with other Erev Ravs, other Mezas and Manases and Ephraims, others. So he brought them. But because of that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to take certain actions. What kind of actions? When he brought down the Shekhinah, as it says in the Exodus chapter 14, verse 19, the Shekhinah came down on Am Yisrael. On Am Yisrael. Why did it say Am Yisrael? Why didn't it just say Am? Am means nation. Why does it have to say Israel? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought down the Shekhinah to protect Israel, which did not include the Erev Rav. Now these necromancers who dealt with the supernatural, the filth of the Sitra Achra on a regular basis, knew this, saw this, and therefore as soon as the leader of the Kedusha, Moshe Rabbeinu, left, they took advantage. They went, they riled up everybody, and then they went to Aaron HaKohen, said, go and make us a God. What does it mean, make us a God? Just like you people have, the Shekhinah is protecting you. It's not fair that we, converts, fake converts, Erev Rav, Reshaim, Meza type of converts, we do not have a Shekhinah. Go make us a God, make us a Shekhinah, make us the equivalent. What? Why are you so racist against us? Why are you so sexist? Why are you so this? Why are you ist, ast, east? That's what happened. That's what happened, Rabotai. Lefty liberalism didn't start today. Women of the wall didn't start today. Communism didn't start today. All types of stupidity didn't start today. It already started a long time ago. But this wasn't coming from pure stupidity. Rather, it was evil. Evil that stemmed from spiritual stupidity, spiritual ignorance, spiritual deficits. Why would they want a Shekhinah? Because the Tuma, the Sitra Achra, all of these negative forces do not have their own life force. Their life is sustained by holiness that they suck out of something that exists that's holy. So these two Reshaim went with a whole plan, with a whole agenda to cleave onto the holiness in order to find an opportune time to try to take that holiness and use it for the impurity they are so accustomed to, they so desire, they so live by. So that's in essence who created the golden calf. That's who created the golden calf. That's what they wanted. That's the Erev Rav. Those are the evil. And unfortunately, Am Yisrael, the righteous, were still judged heavily for the golden calf, even though they did not make the statue themselves, because they did not fight against these Erev Rav. They did not speak against them. They didn't rebuke. They didn't say nothing. And for that, they got punished as if they themselves built or served an idol. So now we see that the impure forces are obviously very strong. They're clever. They're constantly looking for certain things. But why is the women highlighted here by the Gaon of Vilna? Because Chachamim teach us, both in the Kabbalah and the Zohar and other works of the sages, that when a woman goes to the cemetery, then these klipas that go after men, what do? They cleave onto them, especially if they have keri, especially if they have some type of issue, they cleave onto the person. But if a woman goes to a cemetery, they enter her through her reproductive organ and can cause her to lose the ability to ever have children, cause her to have a miscarriage, Shem Yishmor v'Yatzil, cause her to have all types of tragic problems. Hence the reason of why the Gaon of Vilna and many, many other Chachamim specifically warned women not to go to cemeteries because they risk becoming barren. They risk becoming a woman that has a miscarriage. They risk becoming a woman that has endless illnesses and do not have the Torah to protect them like the scholar man can have. Not always does, but can have. So the danger is much, much greater for a woman. Hence, the reason why the Gaon of Vilna emphasizes not just don't go to the graveyard, but at all. At all, never. Because all the troubles and the sins come from this. The Gaon of Vilna is not exaggerating in order to get YouTube views. The Gaon of Vilna is not exaggerating in order to get likes on Facebook. The Gaon of Vilna views this as 100% a spiritual life risk, where a person could literally one day wake up and not understand why they should continue serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. One day wake up and simply disagree with everything that the sages say, even if they agreed with it their whole life. Why? They made themselves vulnerable by not listening to the sages in the first place, going to a graveyard, going to a cemetery when they shouldn't have gone, and may Hashem have mercy on them. Because now they're confused. So you see that the sages spoke about the supernatural no different than how they spoke about the natural. To them it was all normal. Now, of course, the naysayers, the people that call themselves rationalists, the people that hate the mystical teachings, even though our entire Torah is full of mysticism, this is the type of lecture they will highlight and make fun of for probably the rest of their miserable lives until HaKadosh Baruch Hu uproots them from the world, or they perhaps do tshuva B'ezrat Hashem one day. Whichever one happens first. And why? Because for them to accept things that science can't measure, eyes can't see, or at least not every eye can see, even though there are some eyes that can see these things, and I know a few people that have seen them, and I'm Evin Yavin. So, why do they have such trouble? Why do these rationalists have such trouble believing the supernatural, accepting the supernatural? In fact, it's not really just trouble to believe it, because everybody could have trouble believing certain things until you show them information. And as long as they believe in the Torah and the words of the sages, then you're finished. You didn't believe it. I provided you the facts by providing you the words of the sages. It's as good as gold. What's the problem? Not only do they not accept it, but many times they mock it. Many times they make it their most favorite subject is to mock the mystical teachings. Mock the supernatural. Mock the whole talk of something being beyond. Why? One of the great Hasidim of the previous generation said, a person needs to be careful from the Satan. So much so that they have to visualize that the Satan is standing over them with an axe, ready to chop off their head, waiting for them to fall for one of the sins, and he can chop off their head and cut them off spiritually from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So one of the Talmidim says, yeah, but Rabbi, what if you don't feel that? And the Rabbi said, that means that the Satan already cut off your head. You already cut off your head spiritually. You're already disconnected from Hashem. Start doing tshuva. Start doing tshuva. If you don't feel the anxiety that at any moment you could be cut off from eternity because of some mistake that you can make, if you're not careful enough, that means Satan has already cut your head off. If you're at a point where you're making fun of the words of the sages, you're mocking them, that means not only has he cut you off, you've become one of the soldiers of the Satan himself. You've become one of the klipot themselves. You've become a part of the klipa yourself. Hashem Yishmor v'Yatzil. Because you've acquired, instead of acquiring Kedusha, you've acquired the character trait of Amalek, which is to create doubt, to make fun, to cool off Kedusha, and to do everything possible just to get recognition, just to get your name out there, but not necessarily help anybody else get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, of course, the sages have extensive writing about all types of mystical things, all types of natural things, all types of teachings. But of course, a person that is not accepting the Torah for what it is like the this week's parasha says, "Rek en bo mayim, v'abo rek en bo mayim." The hole is empty; it doesn't have water. The Gemara says, okay, if it's empty, obviously it doesn't have water. Why is there a double mention of the fact that it's empty and it doesn't have water? Because it doesn't have water, but it has snakes and scorpions, the sages say. A person that does not have the water of Torah, does not have Kedusha, is not empty. Not empty. If they don't have Kedusha, that means they have Tum'ah, they have impurity, they have heresy, they have garbage. Spiritual garbage. And unfortunately, Rabotai Kareem, if you look at some of the works of the sages, whether it's the works of the Rambam, the Ramban, Rabbi Chai Gaon, all the giant Rishonim, Achronim, all the different amazing sages, they literally covered every aspect of life that you could imagine and not imagine, even explanations, supernatural explanations of why your eye twitches. Why your eye twitches and which part of your eye twitches. Why you'll sometimes have a twitch on the top of your mouth. Why you'll have all types of things. They literally covered every work, every part of life. But of course, the people that hate the supernatural will frown upon it, make fun of it, and do all types of things to discount it. Why would they do such things? Why? As I said briefly, that's because they're spiritually dead. That's because they're spiritually dead. But where do we see such a thing? We have a Tosefta. Tosefta are beretzas that were not included in the Talmud. Talmud is comprised of Mishnayot and Bereitot, and then the Gemara, which is the arguments about how they arrived at this particular truth. They're not arguing of, saying that this doesn't exist. They're simply asking all of the possibilities of how you arrive at this conclusion. In so many words, spiritual reverse engineering. So now these beretzes have extraordinary significance. And therefore, Chachamim learn also the Tosefta, that has many other beretzes that were not in the Talmud. In the Tosefta of Masechet Sotah, in the 6th Perek, Halacha number 9. Some publishings have it as Halacha number 5. Has a debate where Rabbi Akiva expounds on a verse in Yecheskel. Which verse in Yecheskel? In Ezekiel, chapter 33, beginning verse number 23. It says the following. The word of Hashem came to me, saying, Son of man. Anytime it says in the Torah, Son of man, it's talking about Yecheskel. Son of man, the inhabitants of these ruins upon the ground of Israel speak, saying, Avraham was but one, yet he inherited the land. We are many, so the land is given to us as a heritage. Am Yisrael concluded to themselves, Avraham Avinu, he was only one, yet Hashem gave him the land. We are many, so surely we're going to inherit the land also. So they said this, they thought this, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu took note of it, and he's telling the prophet, this is what they said, this is what they thought, I want you to go respond to this. Meaning, it's important enough for me to send my prophet to go respond to these thoughts. Why? You'll see in a moment. Therefore say this to them. Thus said the Lord Hashem, you eat over blood, you lift up your eyes to your idols, and you shed blood. Shall you then inherit the land? You relied upon your sword. You committed abomination. A man has defiled his fellow's wife. Shall you inherit the land? So the question is here, where do you see that Am Yisrael made all of these things? Because Hashem is saying, Am Yisrael is saying, Avraham was only one, we are many, and therefore we should inherit the land. Hashem says, you got my attention. And the response is, you're saying you should inherit the land. Why? Because you're comparing yourself to Avraham. Yet you have blood on your hands, commit all types of abominations, are idol worshippers, adulterers, and yet you want the land? So Rabbi Akiva says, where does it say all of this? That they did all of these horrible things? Obviously, Hashem is not making this up. That's why we need the oral Torah, i.e., the Midrashim, the Agadot, the explanations, the behind the scenes, because not everything is written out there. Quite frankly, it's not even possible to write everything. So Rabbi Akiva expounds on this verse and tells us, why is HaKadosh Baruch Hu so upset at Am Yisrael, so much so that he says, not only you're not going to receive the land, you're going to get punished. Why? Because you're criminals. Criminals. What crime do we do? Rabbi Akiva elaborates. Look at what an empty spirit looks like. Look what a spiritually dead person looks like. These sinful Jews said that they should inherit the land because they're one, and Avraham was one, and he got the land. Yet they ignored their own actions. Why do they ignore? Says by saying that Avraham was one, they're not saying that Avraham was a single person. He had other people. He says, no, Avraham believed in one God, and yet God gave him the land. We believe in many gods. So surely it's a kal v'chomer, it's a needless to say that our many gods will give us the land too. That's their twisted mind of a heretic. They'll give you a logical, rational argument, obviously with a foundation that you could only find in like some different planet. But nonetheless, it'll make sense to a certain type of audience, including themselves especially. These people said Avraham was one, meaning that he served the one and only God. To him, but to us, there's many gods, he said. So surely if he got the land because he serves one God, we're for sure going to get the land because we serve many gods. We're even more religious than Avraham Avinu. He was like a Baal Tshuva, only serving one God. We're serving a different God every day. On Tuesday morning, one God. On Tuesday afternoon, a different God. Yoshke, Buddha, Pikachu, money, girls, desires, food, recognition, kavod, YouTube, likes, Facebook, everything we can get. New God everywhere they can get. Comes Rab Nehemiah and expounds even further. He says this is even deeper. What's the depth of how demented these people were? How demented these spiritually dead people were? Said by saying that Avraham is one and he inherited the land. What are they saying? Avraham served one God and sacrificed one son. We serve many gods and sacrifice many children, both boys and girls. We sacrifice to the idols. And therefore, surely we're going to inherit the land. That is the logic of a rationalist. They rationalized their demented, distorted, spiritually dead thought, and they got HaKadosh Baruch Hu's attention. Not in a positive way, but nonetheless they got the attention. Now, how does somebody arrive at such a demented thought, Rabotai? How does somebody arrive at such a spiritually dead thought? To think for a moment that this makes sense. The Rambam writes in his IGGERET Tchiyat HaMetim. There's a letter called Tchiyat HaMetim. It's a resurrection of the dead. And he talks about people that do not study enough Torah. They just scratch the surface. They study whatever they feel like it, when they feel like it, even if that means they're only going to study 2 or 3 paragraphs here and there, and they're not going to read from beginning to end, and they're not going to really study on a regular basis, and they're really not studying for the right reason. They're just studying for the sake of misquoting things, misrepresenting things, or renewing things. You have sometimes these really plagues or kartziot, these ticks, that all they care about is the conflicts and especially the contradictions. Oh, look, Rabbi, over here it says that when Shaul HaMelech became king, he was like a 1-year-old baby. But over there it says that he wasn't 1-year-old. Maybe there's a mistake in the Torah. No, there's a mistake in your mind, that you don't know how to read commentary. That you're reading the written Torah, you're reading the Nevi'im, you're reading the Ketubim like it's a history book. So you're thinking that when it says, oh, he was 1 year old, that means he really was literally 1 year old. You're a chamor. You're a donkey. You're reading the Torah like you're reading like the Christians read it. Look where they arrived. They have a whole idol. The whole religion is based on an idol because they read the Torah like they read Harry Potter. Who reads the Torah like this? Only fools. But unfortunately, Rabotai, what do you think? Fools were created in this generation? Fools have been around for a long time. Says the Rambam in IGGERET, Tchiat HaMitim. He calls the people who don't learn Torah properly lost causes. They're lost causes who think in their imagination that they are actually Gdolei Israel. While in reality, they are the lowliest of mankind and are more mistaken than cattle. These people that do not know how to study Torah the proper way, it's not enough that they don't know how to study Torah, but they pretend like they know Judaism better than the Gedolei Ador. In their mind and to their audience, they are the representation of the Torah. They are the representation of Judaism. So what about all of the sages that have lived since the time of Moshe Rabbeinu? No, they're all wrong. Everybody's wrong for 3,000 years until Mesa, Manis, Ephraim, and all the other Reshaim came to the world. Nobody knows anything until these people came. In their mind, they know better than everybody else. All Gdolei Israel that have committed day and night for decades to arrive at the conclusive truth, nobody knows anything. The Stipler doesn't know, his son, the Rav Kanievsky doesn't know, Rav Kaminetsky doesn't know, his father doesn't know, Rav Ovadia doesn't know, the Chazon Ish doesn't know, the Chafetz Chaim doesn't know, Rav Wasserman doesn't know, the Gaon of Vilna doesn't know, the Arizal doesn't know, Rabbi Yosef Kara doesn't know. Nobody knows. Only Meza, Manis, Ephraim, Slifkin, Halevi, Reshaim, all of these, they know. Nobody else knows. Nobody else knows. Only they know. Only they know. And you tell them, no, we think they know also, these Gdolei Ador. Yeah, but you just contradicted them. Yeah, they know, but they're not right. I'm right. Meaning, they agree that the big rabbis, the sages, the Rambams, the Rishonim, the Achronim, all these big sages, yeah, they're all great, but they didn't know as much as I know. Why? Because I live in 2021. I have an iPad and an iPhone and a YouTube channel. In their distorted mind and to their distorted students, they are Gdolei Israel. They are the giants of Israel. And the Rambam says these people are the lowliest of all creatures and are more mistaken than cattle. He's not saying they're more mistaken than cattle just for no reason. He's saying, really, seriously, they're more mistaken than cattle. Why? We have a pasuk in the Torah, in the prophet Isaiah, chapter 1, verse number 3. Yada shor koneu, v'chamor evosh ba'alav. Israel lo yada, ami lo itbonen. An ox knows its owner, and a donkey his master's throat. Am Israel doesn't know. My people do not comprehend. These cattle are smarter than these rabbis that think that they know more than Gedolei Israel. Why? Because at least they know their owner. The ox, the cow, the donkey, they all know. They know who the boss is. They even know who Gedolei Israel is. And they're never going to, in their wildest dreams, ever going to think that they know the Torah better than them. But yet these people preach it as if everybody's wrong. Make fun of Gedolei Israel as if they're all senile old people. But at the same time, to save face, say, no, what are you talking about? You're misquoting me. I agree that the sages are important and everything else. Yeah, but you are discrediting them 2 words later. Right after you said, I agree, you insult them. Right out of a sentence after you say, I think they're a big deal, you mock them. You discount them. You put yourself as if you are superior to them, or even at the same level as them. Because in your mind, you view yourself as one of the Gedolim, as one of the sages, when in reality, you're lowlier than a donkey, lowlier than an ox, who know their owner. And the Rambam was very, very, very adamant about proving this point and showing this point and mocking the fools that distort the Torah. And he says that the storage, the mental storage for this stupidity is packed with these delusional beliefs coming from such fools. Further, the Rambam writes in the letter that he wrote to the convert by the name of Ovadia. In that letter, he writes to the convert Ovadia that he admires him and is in essence jealous of him, that we, the natural-born Jews, our father is a Kadosh Baruch Hu, where him, the convert, any convert, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is their father and their mother. And they can trace their lineage directly to Avraham Avinu, whereas we have to go through many, many people to get to our connection to Avraham Avinu. I am Yaron ben David. That's the name of my biological father. My father, God bless him, may Hashem give him 120 years. But eventually, if you keep going back to the beginning, my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather is Avraham Avinu. The convert, on the other hand, even if he converts today, his father is Avraham Avinu. Why? Chachamim teach us, and it's also quoted in the Zohar, during the many years that Sarah Imenu was barren, but yet married to Avraham Avinu, all of the seed that came out of Avraham Avinu created the converts of today. Those neshamot of the converts of today. Nothing went to waste. All of the righteous converts of today came from Avraham Avinu. That's their direct connection. Says the Rambam to his student Ovadia, the convert, you have a direct connection to Avraham Avinu. But even more so, you have to be careful of all of these heretics, these fools. If you find difficulty or contradiction to what I wrote, because you read some other type of writings in a midrash or Agadah that perhaps contradicts what I said, you could simply reply, ask the question. But anyone who concludes anything contrary to what I wrote you, they don't ask the questions. They simply conclude that the Rambam is wrong. Is simply losing themselves in their own confusion. And it's already enough punishment that they're bringing on themselves in what they're doing to themselves by bringing so much confusion onto themselves. It's going to cause great amount of spiritual and mental suffering. You see, Rabotai, that there are certain people that you want to bring them the truth. You want to help them, but they reject the truth as if it's a plague. So much so that they have concluded a new truth. And they believe that their truth is even more rational than yours. This is not a new invention. There were Jews at the time of Yechezkel that concluded that they deserved the land because they served many gods rather than serving one God. This delusional type of belief, we can laugh about it, but it's no different than someone who barely knows the Aleph Bet concluding that they know more than the Gedolei Hador of not just this generation, of everybody over the last few thousand years. You see, Rabotai, the amount of foolishness that's out there is unfortunately always going to grow. A person needs to know. Yes, there is a grave site that hopefully none of us ever have to visit. But if you do, make sure that you're the one carrying the body. Because if you're just going there to visit, it's not recommended. Why? Because of the spiritual danger that's there. Now you're going to ask your friend that's a heretic, or your rabbi that's a heretic, it's going to tell you, don't believe this fanatic who believes in demons and all types of this and all types of that. What's your defense to that, Rabbi? The defense is, you are getting your information from someone that's spiritually dead. Meaning, you shouldn't be worried about the cemetery that you're supposed to go to. You should be worried about the fact that your rabbi, your teacher, your source of information is already inside the grave of the spiritual cemetery that he made himself. Don't join him. Be'ezrat Hashem, this too will give us a little bit more information, insights, and strength to battle all of the wicked that are out there, to battle the wicked even within ourselves, the Yetzer Hara within ourselves. There's a lot on the line, Rabotai Yekarim. Each and every single one of us needs to continue learning, continue doing, continue functioning at top speed in order to serve Hashem at the best we possibly can. And Be'ezrat Hashem will utilize all of these little tidbits of Kedusha to serve Hashem just a little bit better tomorrow, to defend ourselves just a little bit better tomorrow, and most importantly, to get ourselves ready for tomorrow by starting today. Baruch Adonai, Leolam, Amen ve'Amen.
אני מברך את הרבנים, רגע. אני מברך את הרבנים, הרב ירון ראובן, הרב אפרים כחלון, ראשי ארגון בעזרת השם, שהלכו בפי עליון, שעלו מעלה, יהיה להם ברכה והצלחה, הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא בישועות ליבם לטובה ולברכה, שבכל מה שיפנו ישכילו ויצליחו, יזכו לעשות כאלה וכאלה, הרדיעו תורה לאדירה, אמן ואמן.
בעזרת השם רשת בכל הארץ. הוא היהודי הזה, הוא היה מיליונר, סגר את כל הביזנס, אמר אני משקיע פה בעולמה של תורה.
איפה הוא גר?
בפלורידה.
פלורידה, איפה זה פלורידה? באמריקה.
במיימי. כן, ליד. אנחנו שם עכשיו הולכים להקים קהילה ספרדית.
חזק אותו בשמי.
קהילה ספרדית גדולה.
תעביר לו מה שבירכתי אותו.
כן, קהילה ספרדית גדולה.
כן.